Hey guys, welcome to a long overdue Diblog. It's Pokécember still, so it's going to be a Pokemon themed Diblog if you can't tell from the thumbnail and the picture on the screen right now. Funny enough, Kerbifer is doing Pokécember in his Kerblogs. I borrowed the term for my Diblogs from Kerblog, but I didn't take Pokécember. I thought I had an original thing going, but I guess not. But whatever, it's not that big a deal. I think I put out my first video before his. It's not that big a deal. It doesn't matter who did what first. It's just a neat idea for Pokemon, Pokécember. It just kind of rolls off the tongue. With that being said, today's Diblog is going to be about my introduction to Pokemon and how it has basically my Pokemon story. Not really how it shaped me or anything like that. Just Pokemon through my life and how it's Pokemon. Yeah, okay. So basically, it started, I was in elementary school. I don't remember exactly how old I was, but I got Pokemon Yellow. And I don't remember for a birthday, or I think it might have been for a birthday. And I played that first. I watched the show a lot. I was really into the show, which is basically where I formed a lot of my teams and like ideas about which Pokemon were good from. So I played Yellow first, and I don't remember my final team. I do know I had all 3 starters and Pikachu in it. So that's at least 4 of them. And a Pidgeot. If you watch my top 10, you know Pidgeot and the tragic story behind that. So I played Yellow first, and I'm pretty sure I rented Red from a Blockbuster at some point and played that and almost completely beat it in the time that I had it rented. And that I learned about the Missigno cheat when I had it from Blockbuster, so I did a bunch of that stuff on it. And eventually I got Blue. I still have Blue, actually. And Yellow, for that matter. I played Blue next, and I used to go over to a friend's place, and we used to trade Pokemon on Pokemon Stadium instead of using link cables. We did use link cables sometimes, though. Sometimes it was just easier for us to, because we'd be playing Pokemon Stadium anyway, and we just swap back and forth for things that we needed for the Pokedex, things like that. Eventually, the little group of like 4 friends I had, we almost all had complete Pokedexes, except for like 1 or 2 here and there. None of us knew how to get Mew. So that was the thing. But hey, it's whatever. Pokemon Stadium shaped my... Because I played a lot of Pokemon Stadium. I played it more with my party from my game, and then I'd like play the Game Boy Tower thing, but I had it to the point where I could speed it up using the Duo, whatever. And I used to play that a lot on the TV. It was one of the only games that didn't make me super angry. So, and I used to have super bad anger issues when I'd play games. I'd lose and I'd flip the fuck out, basically. It wasn't a good time. But anyway, so I got that. I had Pokemon Snap, and I loved that game. I had Pokemon Puzzle League. I had Pokemon Stadium 2, which I still need to get a new copy of for my own collection. I don't have that anymore. My parents do. So, and one year around Christmas time, our family was, I guess, sponsored or something like that. And every kid, we were part of this program where we got to go to a store and pick out some gifts for ourselves with a set dollar amount. I don't remember what the set dollar amount was, but I was able to get Hey You Pikachu and there was like this electronic battling game. It was like a Pokemon Stadium with these figures, and you put the figures on the stadium, and it would talk, and they'd battle, and it was really neat. So I'll put a picture up. You guys can see basically what I'm talking about. But anyway, that was my Gen 1 experience. And then Gen 2 was right on its tails for me. Because for as far as I remember, it was like Gen 1, bam, Gen 2. So, like, I didn't know a whole lot about it when it came out. I just knew that there was new Pokemon, new game, and I wanted it. So I got Silver. But being that my parents just bought it, they decided that I needed to earn it by doing chores, which, I mean, it's an acceptable thing to do. It is called discipline. It's something that kids nowadays don't really have, and I wish did, because some kids are just so spoiled they get everything they want as soon as they ask for it, and that's bullshit. Anyway, so I worked off playing Crystal, and in the time that I was doing the chores and everything, it would taunt me. Like, I knew exactly where my parents... It was on top of the fridge, and it would just stare at me. That little picture of Lugia on the spine would just stare at me. And my dad used to be like, oh yeah, I was playing it, and I had this and that, and it was really cool. And I was like, oh no, you can't. And so eventually I did get the game, and I still have it, I think, somewhere. Right now I have a copy of Gold. I don't have Silver. It's Silver somewhere, though. I know I have it somewhere. But anyway, so I played Silver, and I love Gen 2. Gen 2 is probably my favorite generation. So I played that, and when Crystal was coming out, I knew all about it because I had like a magazine that would tell me about what games were coming out and everything. And when I learned about Crystal, it was near my birthday or something, I got Crystal. It was a Japanese version before it was released in the States, and I used to play that a lot because I knew Gen 2 so well. I didn't really need to know where I was going, read any of the text to know where I was going, because I had played it and I knew what I was doing. But the one difference I found when it did come over States was the one Pokemon Center in Goldenrod City had this link thing with cell phones where I'm not entirely sure what it did. It must have been some sort of weird mobile game back then for Pokemon. But we didn't get it over here because cell phones weren't as big of a thing here in, 2000, or however long that was. But I used to play that a lot. And then when I got the American version, I'm sure I played that just as much. I still have my American version. All my cartridges need new batteries, though, so that's a little disappointing. Eventually I'll get those fixed. So when Gen 2 was phasing out, like I said, I played a lot of Pokemon Stadium 2. I had the Game Boy Tower thing, probably about the same as I did in 1. I played pinball. I loved pinball. I actually got pinball with my first Game Boy Color. My first Game Boy was actually a red brick Game Boy, which kind of hard to come by nowadays. But anyway, we didn't have internet as widely. I wasn't on the internet as much as I am now to see, and leaks weren't as big then either. So when Gen 3 was coming out, the only thing I really knew about it was, again, new Pokemon, and I saw a commercial where people had these Pokemon lookalikes, and I thought it was the coolest thing. All these new Pokemon look so cool. I was super excited for it, and by this time, I was in middle school. I was probably going on 13, and it wasn't as cool to be into Pokemon anymore. And while I still had some friends that were into it, I had others that weren't. So, I mean, it's not that big a deal. I also had groups of friends where I didn't talk about Pokemon, and groups of friends where Pokemon was all we talked about, things like that. But I remember I woke up one morning because we had to go to the dentist. And usually after the dentist, we'd go to school. But this time it wasn't the case, thankfully, because my dad told me I was all around, I was getting around. My dad asked me to get something out of this one laundry basket. So I reached in the laundry basket and I hit something. What I pulled out was Pokemon Ruby and the player's guide. And I was like, oh my god, yeah, I can't wait. I gotta play this now. And I had to wait till I got back from the dentist. I definitely do remember having to wait to get back from the dentist to play the game. But it was more of a be good at the dentist sort of thing. Which, again, not that big deal. But I remember playing Gen Ruby just forever. And then, the internet kind of was being explored by me a little more by the time Fire Red and Leaf Green came out. And I actually found out about them in a Nintendo Power magazine that I had picked up when it said remakes of Red and Blue, wow, or something I don't remember the exact title. I just remember seeing the article in a Nintendo Power, and when I got home, I looked it up, and I was like, this is going to be the coolest shit ever. and I really actually still love Fire Red and Leaf Green. Fire Red is currently in my Game Boy Micro, so that's been played recently. But anyway, so I played a lot of Fire Red, like a lot of Fire Red, probably more than any other. I probably put more hours into that than any other game. Fire Red is what spawned my very first level 100 Pokemon. It was a Blastoise, and I'm pretty sure I didn't level up to level 100 till Gen 4. But I played through it a couple times. Like, I'd get to the point where I had nothing left to do except try and level and grind. I didn't want to do that, so I'd restart the game. And I just played over. I love the, like, when you enter a cave or a special area of sorts, it would show, like, that, not animation, but that artwork of the area that you're going into, and that's something they brought back in Heart Gold and Soul Silver as well that I really love. To say Fire Red and Leaf Green are my favorites is probably not true, because Gen 4 came out, and Ruby and Sapphire, wow, I already said those. Diamond and Pearl, I had pre-ordered Diamond, bought it, I played the shit out of it. Well, I was in high school by the time that came out, so I'd play it. I was really into it. Me and my buddy Wes, we got our games at the same time, and we were playing through. Pretty sure he never finished Pearl. So we played it, and I mean, it was all right. I've been visiting Platinum again, which I also pre-ordered and got when it came out, and it's slow. It seems really slow in comparison to some of the other games. And granted that in the first gen you couldn't run or anything. It's just like the battles are slower and it takes longer to get from one point to the other. I don't know. Something like that. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not that far into it, but we'll come back to that at some point. Maybe. I did have the GameCube games for Gen 3, which were not the best, but they were really good. I forget that they're Gen 3 games sometimes, honestly, because of I'll go back to play them and I'm like, oh, this is a Gen 3 game, but it's got like Gale of Darkness has Bonsai and Munchlax in it. So it was like on like right at the end of Gen 3 for Gale of Darkness, but the Coliseum came out kind of like in the middle. And I really enjoy those games. I still have them. And I still try to play them when I can. But so back to the Gen 4 thing. I was in high school, like I said, and by the time I graduated high school, I had learned that Heart Gold and Soul Silver were coming, and I was ecstatic, man. I got these games probably day one. I have a little Ho-Oh figure. I still have the box for Heart Gold, like the box, not the game case. I still have my Pokewalker. I did wear my Pokewalker around with me, as most people did, and I don't know. I think these are my favorite games in terms of attention to detail. Like you can hear the footsteps no matter where you are, and it changes with depending on what you're walking on. There's like the music. I love the music. I love the fact that you can get the GB player and play the original music. I like the fucking fact that Pokemon follow you around and they're almost accurately sized in comparison to your sprite. I like that anytime you're near water, you hear the water, and oh man, just the attention to detail in those games is, and like I said before, they brought back the little illustration of every like special cave or forest or whatever. And I don't know, man, they're just some of my favorite games. Gen 5 came out when I was in college, and by then I had met some college friends, and Pokemon was kind of accepted again to be talked about among people. And we would when Black and White came out, we just had like this party where we all sat around and played Pokemon forever. And I like Black and White. I do. Gen 5 is probably the third on my list for favorite to least favorite. It probably goes 4, 3, 5, 6, 2, 1. Or 1, 2. Yeah, 2 is definitely on the top. And, so I was playing through Black and White, and I don't know, the thing that got me the most was, like, how much bigger it felt with, like, the 3D angle cameras, and the fact that the seasons changed, which I wish they'd bring back. And, like, the day-night was finally, well, that came back in Gen 4, but, like, let me think here. The sprites moved, that's what I was getting at. The Pokemon sprites moved, and everything just seemed more alive to me, in a way. And I really enjoyed Black and White 2. I like the story aspect of it. I have Pokemon White, Pokemon White, and then I got Black 2 because I like Zekrom. So, after the whole Black 2, White 2 thing, we were just kind of on a Pokemon, that's it sort of thing for a little while. We didn't know what was going to go on with it. We all speculated in Generation 6. We didn't know how big it was going to be. We all thought that the next, like, Black and White and Black and White 2 might have been 3DS games, because, like, it was right on the, like, we didn't know what was going to happen with that. And then I completed the Pokedex in Black 2 literally a week before X and Y came out, and I did this on purpose. I knew that if I had completed the Pokedex, it would be way easier when the new games came out. So, X came out, I got X, I played through X, and I like X. I like Gen 6. It's story-driven, and that's something that I wish I wish it was more adventure-driven than story-driven. Now, story is important, but, like, in Gen 1 and 2, it wasn't as important, you know what I mean? And that's what kind of captured the imagination of a lot of kids. You're just on this adventure catching Pokemon, and this is what you have to do. So, we as in my friends now, basically, played a lot of Gen 6. And then, last year, when Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire were announced, we were pretty excited, of the revisit to Hoenn finally. It had been, like, what? Something like 10 years. Close to 10 years, maybe more. And, it's just nice to revisit, an old region revamped in new graphics. And I enjoy Omega Ruby. I enjoyed playing through it. I enjoy Mega Pokemon quite a bit. Some Mega Pokemon are among my favorites. Maybe not on the top 10, but among my favorites. Made Pokemon be part of my top 10 because of Mega, and things like that. You guys saw the top 10. If you're watching this, you probably saw the top 10. So, yeah, that's basically my story through Pokemon. And yes, I got bullied a lot. That's kind of a thing that happens to a lot of people who are into these sort of things. But it didn't happen until, like, middle school, high school. I didn't really talk about it a whole lot in high school. In high school, I was kind of like an introvert, and Pokemon was, like, a thing that I did as a guilty pleasure, kind of. Though I still played, I wasn't as, like, oh man, I'm gonna go home and play Pokemon right now, like I was in, like, elementary and middle school. So, yeah, that's basically my Pokemon story, and I know it's a little boring because I ramble on about things and say a lot, but I hope you enjoyed it, and continue to check out my work. I have the Pokemon Red Randomizer Nuzlocke still going, so keep checking those episodes out. And, of course, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter, get updates when my new shit's coming out. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't done that already, because that helps me out, and I continue to make videos and things like that. And it also shows that people care. But whatever, man. I will see you guys later.